recording and meeting controls. Okay, so so in this session we will we will discuss what is a formatter. So what is a formatter? In first thing, the formatter is nothing but for example, let me open one object. Okay, so what I have to do, okay, so this is the simple object of employees in which for each employee there is a information which is been added as a project in a employee's property. So what I have to do, I have a requirement that I have based on some employees, I just want to display that whether that particular employee is eligible for voting or what. Okay, for voting, the kind of thing. So what I have to check, on the real time I have to check the age of the person. Okay, so that is one case, and I also want to display the name of person with the statement that whether that person is eligible or that person is not eligible. Okay, so at the two cases, what I have to do, I have to first bind this data to the table. Okay, table or anything, the list, anything, any control. So once I bind this data to the list and table, so first I will display the name of person, after that the country or the gender also, and after that, without displaying the age, i will just I will just display whether that person is eligible for voting or not. Okay, but what I have to pass, I have to pass Alex, the name also and age also. Means based on these two properties, the name and age, I have to verify that this person is eligible or not. Okay, so I have to just return one a part of sentence or the message, so that that will convey that that particular person is eligible or not eligible for the voting. Okay, so what we will do, so we will first create one a list. Okay, this time, so before I create a list, first let me create the model for it. So for creating the model, so I've already created this project, okay, in BS. So what I will do in it, I will first create the model for that particular project. Okay, so what I will do, so this is the object. Okay, this is the EMP object, and after that I'll just copy this object data. Okay, so this is the object data, and next thing what I will do, I will add this, I will insert this data into the model, so that I can fetch this data with the help of model in the list. So after that, what I'll do, I'll create one instance of model. So which type of model we will use? We will use the JSON model. Okay, sap.ui.model.json model. Okay, after that, once I'm having the instance of model, then I'll create o model dot set data. So set data, with the help of set data method, I will set the data to the model. So before that, I need to pass this object, okay, into the set data method as a parameter. So after that, once my model is once the data is set inside the model, I have to also set this model to the view. Okay, so for setting this model on the view, I will write simply this dot get view dot get view dot set model. Okay, so I will pass the instance of model, so which is an instance o model, comma, I will give the name to this model. So I will tell this is the employee model. Okay, so now the model is been defined. So whatever the data we are having in this object, so that has been inserted inside this model. Okay, so we have also set this model on the view. so that any control which is declared inside the view, so that control can easily access the data inside of model. Okay, so what I will do next, I will use the list control. Okay, so let me define the list control. Okay, so this is the list control, and inside the list there is a items aggregation, and inside the item I will use the standard list item. Okay, standard or anything standard, there is a custom list item, so there are different list items that are possible to use. Okay, so maybe instead of standard I will go for the custom list item. Okay, so there is a custom list item. Where is this is one. So in custom list item I can define the properties the way I want. Okay, so inside the custom there is a content aggregation, and I will define the controls the way I want. Okay, so first what I want the what I want two things. Okay, first I will display the name on name, and after that on the right hand side I will display the what I will display the message whether that particular employee is eligible for voting or not. Okay, so for that what I will do, first I will declare one text field. So maybe what I will do, I will take one edge box. Okay, so edge box is also one kind of the control for alignment for the different layout it provides. So edge box means horizontal box, so it not whenever you want to display the two controls data in a single line, so edge box is very helpful in that case. Okay, so similar like edge box there is a V box also. So for V box it will display the controls in vertical format, but in edge box it will display in single line. Okay, in same line. So I have to display the two controls right in the same line. For example, the text. Okay, so text is a control, and after that what I have to do, uh, I have to also display another text control. Okay, so I will take two text controls. Okay, so I will keep it inside the aggregation as items, because edge box inside the edge box we have the aggregation of items where it inside the items um, you can insert the controls, how many controls you want. Okay, so now what I have to do, so now my basic structure is ready. So the structure is ready. Now what I have to do, I have to bind the items to this list control. Okay, so for binding the items to this list control, first I'll write items, okay, equal to double quotes. So if I want to bind, so I have to follow the standard binding syntax. So inside the double quotes I will use single and opening and closing curly braces. So what is the model name? This is the model name, employee model. Okay, employee model. Then there is a less than sign. After that I have to use the forward slash and then this object. Okay, so I'll copy, because each and every employee's data is under the employee's property, so that's why we need to give this we need to pass this property name in the items aggregation as a main path. Okay, so once that is done, so what I have to do, I have to bind this name field. Okay, I have to bind this name field to the first text control. So for that I will copy this model name. Okay, this model name, then less than sign, and after that I will copy this property name and I will directly paste it here. Okay, so what it will do, it will directly point out to the name property and it will pick the values from it. And same like I have to also pass the age. Okay, so because I have to display whether that person is eligible for voting or not. So what should be the minimum criteria? We will keep the minimum criteria as a 18 years. Okay, if the particular person is of 18 years or he is more than that, then that person is only eligible. Otherwise, the person who is not who is less than 18 years, that person is not eligible. Okay, so I will copy this employee, and then I will copy this age. Okay, so now the basic binding is done. So what I will do, I will run this application once, so to check. Okay, so I'll click on this green icon, run module. Let's wait for a few seconds, maybe it okay. What I can see there are the three values. Okay, and it's totally concatenated. Okay, the name of field also, and the age also. So let me add some little bit space to it. Okay, let me double click on it. So what I will do, I will add some space to this list item. So I'll add one class. I'll just beautify it. Okay, after that, I just want on the left hand side, I want name, and on the right hand side, I want age. So I will use justify content equal to space between. Okay, so there is a space between. So what it will do, it will add the space between the name and the age. Okay, so now let me reload it once. Okay, so now I can see the Alex on the left hand side, and the right hand side there is a age. But what I have to do, rather than displaying the age, I want to display only the text that the Alex is eligible for voting. Okay, I think I don't have any employee who is less than 18 years. Okay, so maybe I will, for the Alex, let me make him as a 15 years. Okay, because our basic criteria for validating the whether the person is eligible or not is the 18 years. Okay, so what I will do, so before I add any formatter to this, so let me create first the formatter file. Okay, so formatters are always working with the model data. Okay, if you want to perform or if you want to add any logic to your model data or to your model property, so what you need to do, you need to use the formatters. Okay, so what formatter does, a formatter, using the formatter, you can validate this thing. Okay, you can pass the values, you can pass multiple values as a parameter to the function on the real time, and what it will do, it will return the particular output, so that that can be displayed as a text message or anything that can be displayed as a information on the list item. But for that, the formatter, so before we add the formatter, so it's necessary to create a separate file for the formatter, and that would be the JS file. Because when you talk about the concept of formatter, so always the formatters are having the controller. Okay, so formatters are basically works in a controller. It needs a separate JS file where the logic can be written in the JavaScript code. Okay, so it always works with the model data, so that's why we will create the formatter file inside the model folder. Okay, so there is a model folder already added. Okay, so already there is a model.js, so in that only we will add one more, we will create one more file as a formatter.js. Let me minimize it, this tab. Okay, so what I will do, I'll right click on this model folder, I'll click on the new file, and after that I'll write formatter.js. Okay, so the extension for this formatter is js.js. Okay, so I will click on OK. Okay, so now what I have to do, I have to write the formatter definition. Okay, so where I can create one function, and once the function is created, then I have to make sure that this formatter path is added in the controller in main page.controller.js file as a path, so that our main page.view.xml file can use it easily. So what I have to do, so I will simply in formatter.js I will write the sap dot same. I have to use the same as a controller. Okay, so this is the controller, right? Same, I have to define the section sap.io.define, and after that I have to give the array, and then there is a function. Okay, so let me create the definition for the formatter. sap.ui.define. Okay, after that it takes the inside the square brackets it takes the module name, and after that there is a function. Okay, and this function will open and close this function. Okay, now once this function is done, then what I have to do, I will use the use strict. So what is the use strict? Normally, what is the purpose of this use strict? So use strict will help us that the user will always make sure that if that it will follow the strict um, it will follow the strict rules for variable validations. Okay, so means before you declare the variable it means before you use any variable, it's mandatory to declare the variable first with the var keyword, then only you should use it. Before declaration, it is not important. Means it is very important that we should declare the variable first and then we should use it. That's why we use the use strict. Otherwise it will throw an error that this variable is not declared and you're using it. Okay, so I've defined the use strict, and after that what I will do, I will write return, and inside the return there is a curly braces. Okay, so next thing what I have to do, I have inside the return. Okay, inside the return what I have to do, I have to declare one function, that the function which I will call from this. Okay, in this line of code on this text control. So what I have to do, okay, so let me first add the path also. So this is the formatter file which I have created. So I just need to define this formatter file inside the controller file. So once I define, then only this view file can access that formatter file. Okay, so before that it cannot be accessed. So let me add the path of the formatter as a in the module section. Okay, so I will give the comma. So where the formatter file is stored, so this is how basically it is stored inside the it is inside the HTML5 module. Okay, so that's why there is a HTML5 module. So this is generic a path for any file. Okay, so same like the main page, the main page file is stored inside the controller file. So same, our formatter file is stored inside the model file. So what I will do, I will copy this as it is. Okay, this path I will paste it here. After that, instead of dot, I will replace everything with this forward slash. Okay, so we don't need controller, right? So which folder we need? We need a folder of model. Okay, so model is our folder, and inside the model we have formatter.js file. Okay, so I will write formatter. That's it. So I will pass this formatter inside this function parameter. Okay, so next what I have to do, I have to make sure that this formatter I can use it throughout the page. Okay, throughout this main page. So what I will do, before the on init, I will initialize it into the local inside the local property, so that using that property it can be accessible throughout the function, and that property it can also be accessible inside the view file. Okay, so I will tell formatter. So the formatter is a local property. Okay, so this will act as a local property, and inside that I will pass this formatter. Okay, so this is the formatter generic. It is the basic the it is a generic path of the formatter. Okay, so it defines the path of the formatter file, where the formatter file is. And next, what we are storing, we are initializing this formatter into the local property, so that using this formatter property, we can call the formatter function anytime wherever we want, but only particular this page. Okay, the main page. So it can be also accessed inside the main page.view.xml file. So once this is done, after that I will give the comma. Okay, so now what I have to do, so first I need to call the function, right? So first what I have to do, in the age, so the standard binding syntax is already done. Okay, so we have binded the age property to this text control. So if I want to call the formatter on this age property, so what is the generic syntax? So inside this, inside the opening and closing curly braces, first I will write the parts. Okay, so when I will use the parts, if I want to pass the multiple values. Okay, so if I want to pass the two binded values, right? For example, the age and I also want to pass the name property. So in that case I will use the parts. Okay, so inside the part we can there is a possibility there is a it provides, or it helps us to pass the multiple values at the same time. Okay, so I will give the colon, and then I will give the square the square brackets, and inside that I will use again the opening and closing curly brackets. Okay, so I will tell, so this is the path. Okay, so this is the first property we have passed. Okay, so same like that I'll copy this. I'll only give the comma, and I will pass one more property. I will, because I want to pass the two fields, right? So that I can only display the message in written in with the help of this age and the name. So first is the age, and second I will pass it as the name. Okay, so now age and name is done. So we have passed this inside the parts. Okay, so now the parts is in this much, it's ending here, and after that I will give the comma, and then I will write the formatter keyword. Okay, so this is the formatter property. So after that, inside the formatter I have to call the formatter function, right, on this age and name property. So I will write formatter colon. Okay, I will write formatter colon. After that, what I have to pass, because I think I've already taken I'm already storing this formatter, right? Where I'm storing this formatter inside the local property of formatter. So we need this formatter to call any function, right? So it's necessary to use this keyword also, this property also there. So I will just go back. So this is our formatter. So what I have to write first, I have to write First, I have to write the formatter keyword, and then after that, I will give the colon. Okay. So once the colon is given, so inside the colon, okay, I have to give the means after the formatter there is a colon, and after the colon I have to use the single quotes. Okay, and inside the single quote I will write dot formatter. So dot formatter, this is the syntax, dot formatter. So what is this formatter? This formatter is nothing but this keyword. Okay, this one, this property. So that's why we have written the dot formatter. And now dot the method name or the function name. Okay, so we haven't declared any function inside this return. Okay, so that function will inside that function we will write the line of code, so that will evaluate the result, and that result can be written as a response when this formatter function is called on this line of code. Okay, so what function I need to call? I will say format dot formatter dot on return on return age message. Okay, so you can give any name to your function. So this is the function name, so I will copy this function name. So there is no need to give the opening and closing parenthesis, okay, after this name of the function. So I will just go back to the formatter.js file. I will paste it here. I will give the colon. So now the rest of syntax is same, that how we normally declare the function inside the controller file. Okay, so now, so on return age message, okay, this is the function name. So I have passed the two values, right, to this formatter function on the view. So what values I've passed? I've passed first age, and then I've passed the name. Okay, so these are the two properties that I've passed. So same manner I will write. So first property is the age comma name. Okay, so what will happen when I run this app? So in the response I will get the name and age every time, okay, for each and every line of code. Okay, first what it will do, first it will trigger the function by passing the value as a Alex and this age. Okay, then after, once I validate this and once I will return the response, and once that line of code is executed, then it will move to second line. On second line again it will pass the value as a John and the age as a 25. Okay, same manner it will execute the function again and again based on the number of records we have on this list item. Okay, so what I will do, I will say, now I will just open the formatter.js file. So first I will take one local variable as the message, and by default I will take it as a empty. Okay, as an empty string. And then I will write if age, if age is greater than 18. Okay, if age is greater than or equal to 18, so what I will do, I will return I will write message equal to. So I know that in this in this name property I'm getting the name of particular employee. I will write name plus, in double quotes I will say, is eligible for voting. Okay, that's it. So I will write semicolon. So what I've done, I've concatenated two string values. Okay, so first this is the name, so that value I will get when this formatter function is called, and after that the age, whatever the age I am getting from this, it will be compared. So if that age is greater than or equal to 18, then in that case I will say that the particular person is eligible for voting. Okay, so what, and in the return I will not write anything here. Okay, so if it is else, so in else what will happen, I will say uh, not eligible for voting. Okay, I will give some space, and once that is done I will write return this message. Okay, so we will return this message. So what will happen, so when the formatter function is called, this at the same time the value, These two values will be passed as a parameter to this function, and it will evaluate. Okay, it will execute this line of code, and in return it will just return the message, okay, by validating these conditions, and this message will be displayed on the view, okay, rather than this age and name. So that's how it will work. So let me run this once. Okay, so now let me reload it once. Okay, see, so what is happening? Alex. So what is the age of Alex? So age of Alex is 15, right? So if the age of person is 15, then that particular person is not eligible for voting, because the criteria we have kept is 18 years. So that's why this so that's why the Alex is not eligible for voting. So what is happening? So the message whatever we have written inside the formatter function, it is returning the output as Alex not eligible for voting. Okay, so this is correct, right? And what about the John and Sarah? What is the age of John? So for John, the age is 25. So when so for the John, what is the output it is returning? The John is eligible for voting. And same like Sarah, the age of Sarah is 35. So that's why we have the output it is returning that Sarah is eligible for voting. So that's why we use the formatter. If you want to make any modifications on the backend property on the front end, so in that case you will be using the formatter. Okay, or if you want to do any complex logic, or if you want to validate any complex logic, in that case also you can use the formatter. Okay, so what it will do, instead of displaying the model values, the property values as it is on the front end, you can display your custom values. Okay, you can display your custom message on that, on top of that. So this is the generic working of formatter function. So how the formatter function works? So first you need to bind one data, okay, with the help of JSON model to any control. Like I've used the list, you can also use the table. So once the binding is done, then you create the formatter file, okay, the formatter.js file in this format. Okay, once that is done, then once the formatter definition is done, make sure that the formatted path is defined inside this controller.js file. Okay, and make sure that to initialize that formatter, the parameter value inside the local property of formatter, so that using this local property formatter, you can call that formatter in the view file wherever you want. Okay, so for calling also, make sure to follow this syntax. So in the binding syntax, make sure you write the formatter colon, after that in single quotes dot formatter. So this is the local property that we have initialized in the control.js, and after that dot, this is the function name. Okay, the function name that we have declared inside the formatter.js file. Okay, this one. Okay, so this is the generic working of formatter.